Okay, should we check out, I'm kind of interested in this right here, how Rap Genius destroyed their company. I don't know the quality of this video yet. Okay, like ratio is pretty good. So far, so good here. All right.
You're probably familiar with Genius. Maybe you were a member of the forums, you may have even contributed to the site, or maybe you just see their videos pop up every now and then. At one time,
dude, their videos were awful, man. Or it's not even that the videos were awful, it was just the people they had on, especially when they started featuring memes on there. Oh man, remember Chewbacca? Genius fell off. Yeah, I don't even know what happened to Genius. Like, are they still uploading videos? Hold on a second. I'm actually curious about that. They were big for a while. Oh no, they're still uploading, dude. They're still uploading. 11 million subs. 41K 4 days ago though. That's not great. Live performance 5 days ago, 8K views. Damn. That is a huge fall off. Those are BusyWorks Beats numbers right there. Dude, the crazy thing is when you search it, nothing comes up. Like all this other shit comes up. Okay, here we go. Suburban. Okay, so like, interesting. Wait, hold on. Let's see what else they've uploaded anytime recently here. Hosier still makes music for lyrics. It is the best reference. Their YouTube channel is pretty fucking dead. 41K, 8K, 7K, 37K, 7K, 61K. I mean, at least relative for a 11 million sub channel. 6,000. What the fuck? Why are they uploading music videos and live performances? I feel like that's not what people are expecting from them, you know? Sexy Red. Let's see. Interesting. Who the fuck is this? Another dude with a mask. All right. Okay, moving on. 645 AR fire. All right, ban that, man. I love the deconstructive vids.
Genius was valued at $280 million. Today, it's been bought for less than a third of that by a holding
Oh, wow. I didn't know they were sold.
company that buys dead startups and milks
Kick, DatPiff, WorldStar, Amino. Interesting.
them for ad revenue. How a site with a thriving online community, investments from some of the biggest names in music, and a business model that...
The problem with people buying companies like that is they don't know what made that company successful to begin with. Or like if they do, when they think they do, they have a shallow understanding of it. They don't understand why it works really, you know?
had their customers provide their service turn into a failing media company is a long road.
They've had the live performance thing going on for a while now. Yeah, I can't say I'm like hooked on their channel. I wouldn't really know. But I do remember they had like, they were pretty popular a long time ago with some of the lyric videos and breakdowns.
Twists, turns, controversies, a mass shooting, and Mark Zuckerberg. But
Excuse me? Wait, what?
before any of the memes and before any of the lawsuits, 26-year-old Mabu was looking for a place to stay.
This is a true story. I feel like you don't really need to say that. I feel like you don't need to say that. If you're saying how Rap Genius destroyed their company, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to make up a fictional story about it, upload it online to YouTube and edit it? Genius was popular before music streaming services provided the lyrics. That's a good point.
It's August 2009.
Okay, this is the true story here.
Mabu had just gotten fired from his law firm after writing a blog post making fun of Allstate Insurance titled Ball State Insurance. Now sleeping on the floor of his friend Alon's apartment, Mabu was explaining lines from the classic Cameron album Purple Haze to Tom, Alon's roommate. Tom wasn't a very big fan of rap, but he was working help desk at an investment firm in the city and did some programming on the side. So as the conversation goes on, it eventually morphs into the idea of turning Mabu's knowledge into a website where people like Tom could come
Dude, they're like, yo, you're like some kind of rap genius.
on and understand the meaning behind the songs that they listen to. Tom developed the site
Dude, that haircut's, that is like, he's giving me a run for my money there.
like Tom could come on and understand the meaning behind the songs that they listen to. Tom developed
Dude, he's giving me a run for my money there, dude. He's giving me a run for my money, for real. Okay, I was in a new wave band and I was also blind. And cutting my own hair.
the site Rap Exegesis in just 6 hours. The earliest version of the site was barely usable, but the idea of something great was there. Realizing that nobody was going to use a website called Rap Exegesis,
That is awful. Rap Exegesis? Wait, how do you spell that? Hold on a second. Rap Exegesis. Why would you?
was barely usable, but the idea of something great was there. Realizing that nobody was going to use a website called Rap Exegesis, they quickly switched over to using the name Rap Genius, and after a couple months of low-level traffic, the two, along with Alon, began starting to take the site seriously. Mabu himself did many of the earliest latest annotations, some of which you can still find on the site. It was clear from the start that Maboo was the public face of the company, interacting with its
I'm liking this editing style.
online community and building the site through Twitter, while Tom and Alon handled the more technical
Using a lot of screen blending modes.
business aspects of running a new startup. Inspired by the film The Social Network, both Tom and Alon, who was working as a celebrity hypnotherapist, left their day jobs to help Maboo work on the site full time. Living off their savings and working from their home office, they went fully in on what would soon become the most popular lyric site ever. By 2011, the site was getting over 1 million unique visitors every month. Around this time, Rap Genius decided to implement a forum directly onto the site. With their rising popularity, this should be the biggest rap forum ever. They had already built the foundation.
Did a lot of you guys use Rap Genius? I feel like I only would like ever use it if I want to look up the meaning of a specific lyric on a song. Like I never use the forums. And it would just be like very rarely too. I can't imagine there are too many people like using it religiously.
And we're now fully building out a community. With the new flock of rap fans, Rap Genius applied to startup incubator Y Combinator, where they managed to raise 1.8 million in seed funding, which now gave them the ability to move into an actual office. College students
Wait, we're going back in time now?
Eric Bena and Mark Andreessen watch a demonstration of the web browser Viola WWW at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications.
This guy's playing a Tribe Called Quest in the background. Brave.
The browser was very limited, but this demonstration inspired Eric and Mark to develop a web browser themselves, one that could be used by the general public. On January 23rd, 1993, they released an alpha version of Mosaic. Commonly thought to be the first widely used web browser, Mosaic was incredibly successful. Mosaic helped rectify many of the shortcomings other more limited browsers were facing at the time. But there was
That webcam looks crazy. It looks like a droid from Star Wars or something.
one feature Mosaic had planned but had to leave on the cutting room floor. Group annotations. To implement this properly would require a server to host all the annotations, and because they didn't have time to build that to scale, they dropped the feature entirely. After hearing about Rap Genius, venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz invests $15 million into the startup, with Horowitz adding that it's one of the most important things they've ever funded. 2012 would be a big year for Rap Genius. They had grown to over 10 million monthly users, 17 full-time employees, and implemented a verified artist feature to give verified annotations behind the meaning of lyrics. In December, the three founders were
Cut still fucked up, dude. Guys, cut is still fucked up.
featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30. But it's 2013 that would prove to be the peak for Rap Genius. Maboo was invited to dinner at Ben Horowitz's
Oh my god, I thought that was somebody cutting off their fingernails for a second.
Maboo was invited to dinner at Ben Horowitz's house along with Nas and Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, that's a random assortment of characters.
After asking permission and being told no, Maboo snapped a photo of the dinner and posted it to the Rap Genius Instagram. Because of this, Zuck demanded he remove the photo and issue an apology.
Apologize for posting that picture publicly.
Zuckerberg was actually a supporter of Rap Genius early on and had already known of Maboo. They even exchanged texts. Later, during an interview about the incident, Maboo would
You never seen Goodfellas? I have, a long time ago though.
tell Zuck
Is that a scene from Goodfellas?
to, quote, Zuck his dick, something he would also tweet later in the year at Warren Buffett, while starting a Warren Buffett diss track competition on Rap Genius. This
Bruh, starting a diss track competition? Holy shit. Imagine if I started a Busyworks Beats diss track competition. That is Wave Wars 2.
tweet caused Jay-Z to
That'd be pretty hardcore.
pull out of a meeting they had scheduled. Maboo chalked these outbursts up to the fact that he was suffering from a brain tumor. But that's not the actual reason. The team at Rap Genius took on the idea that any publicity is good publicity, and they would push this idea as far as they could. In May, Maboo, along with Tom and Alon, were scheduled for what many saw as the first public introduction to Rap Genius, a 30-minute panel at the annual tech
Everybody had a fucked up cut back then. What is this?
conference, Tech
What is this, dude? Holy shit. Did his girlfriend cut his hair too?
Crunch Disrupt. Their panel would solidify what many already thought of the trio. Labeled foul-mouthed tech bro douchebags, they played into the personas thought up to try and attract attention. Something very different in the tech scene.
Dude. Oh, man.
Almost like something out of a movie. They also said that the future of Rap Genius wasn't Rap Genius, but News Genius, and that they were actively working on spreading the annotation.
Okay, that's not going to work very well. News Genius? You think people are going to come to that website for news? News Genius? Rap Genius works because people looking to understand rap lyrics, they're not looking for the most sophisticated outlet. News Genius, though, people are looking for something sophisticated that they feel like they could trust for news. You're appealing to a whole different demographic, I feel like.
Aspect to every website on the internet, as well as saying that in just a year, Rap Genius will be bigger than Facebook. In July, they
Okay, they're smoking some crack there, thinking that.
added sections for Rock Genius, Poetry Genius, and News Genius, and with the new sections of the site was more popular than ever, and the forum was exploding, until they were delisted by Google in December for predatory SEO tactics.
So they were cheating, basically.
Genius was agreeing to tweet out rap blogs in exchange for the blogs posting Genius links to the songs they were talking about, in turn boosting Rap Genius's SEO to Google's web crawler. Google doesn't usually f**k around when it comes to things like this, but they gave Genius a little slap on the wrist, made them fix some links, and 2 weeks later they were back on top of search results. I guess being multi-millionaire Yale graduates has its perks.
All this money and this guy's never fixing that cut. That cut's gonna stay the same.
But this wouldn't be the last issue they had with Google. Less than a year later, Google would begin showing lyrics in their search results, cutting off much of Genius's traffic.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Coming into 2014 though, Genius was on top of the world, and their business model was nothing if not expansion. So much so that they began neglecting the forums. In May of that year, as they were gearing up to reveal a dozen new Genius products, 3 hours after the Isla Vista shooting that left 6 dead and many others injured, users not only managed to upload the incel manifesto, but began annotating it. Users along with Mabu, who would go on to describe the killer's writing as beautiful and add that his sister is probably smoking hot. The
Not the best look, I don't know.
annotations not only didn't attempt to enhance anyone's understanding of the text, but went beyond that into gleeful insensitivity and misogyny.
Based? Some might say based. That is pretty shitty, yeah.
Maybe it was his brain
That explains what happened to Rap Genius.
tumor. Maybe it
Maybe it was his brain tumor? Hold on, where did this come from?
was suffering from a brain tumor. Was the fact that it had been a year since TechCrunch, and surprisingly, Rap Genius was not bigger than Facebook. Genius forced Mabu to resign and ended any relationship they had with him whatsoever.
Damn, after that alone? That's crazy.
With Mabu now out of the picture,
I'm surprised I didn't hear about this before this.
Rap Genius decided to fully redesign the
I like how they're just going back to the song now.
site
Alright.
and even dropped the rap to just Genius. They raised $40 million in Series B funding and officially launched sections for Fashion Genius as
Oh my god. And then we got Genius.
well as Tech Genius, Screen Genius, History Genius,
Dude, come on, dude. Come on. Seriously?
Sports Genius, Lit Genius, Pop Genius, R&B Genius, Meta Genius, X Genius, even Law Genius, where you can help
Jesus Christ, dude.
annotate the IRS's 1040. They were rapidly expanding, but at the cost of the community. Mabu was the de facto community leader, so when he left, so did almost any transparency with the company. The forum users were asking for quality of life updates for years. It was still on the basic design platform
I just can't believe people are using the forums on Rap Genius. Porn Genius.
it had been on. And frankly, the design was horrible. With the rise of sites like Kanye Titha and Section 80 that had no real backing, certainly not one of Genius's size, it made no sense for their site to look like this. The forum sections were just confusing, and
Yeah, that just looks like shit, dude.
a lot of them arbitrary. And once you got into a thread, maybe one with 1,000 replies, you'd have to scroll through every reply. There was and still is no page element. The site design was so
Wow, you can't even go through the pages? That's crazy.
even Kanye
So if you want to go to a popular subforum or a popular post, you gotta go to the very bottom.
reached out to Ben Horowitz and offered to redesign the site. The site remained mostly the same leading into 2015. All the extra sections Genius had didn't really pan out. Unlike their belief that Vogue would hire you if you had a high fashion genius IQ, nobody was going to Genius to talk about fashion, or Malcolm X's autobiography. In the middle of 2015, they started yet another site redesign, except this time it came with a new logo, one that would become iconic for the brand. Before they went public with this change, they asked feedback from from inside their community. The response was overwhelmingly
Oh my god, Genius staff doesn't care about the community. Good one.
negative, but they negated all feedback and publicized the change anyway. Around this time, the now two co-founders went on a press run talking about how they go to couples therapy and retconning the entire founding of Genius, stating that it had started from a conversation the two had, completely wiping away Mabu's contributions. Realizing the extra sections were going nowhere, they also collapsed back into just Genius and set their sights on annotating the world. They released a browser extension that would allow anybody to annotate any website at any time, and partnered with the Washington Post to annotate the presidential.
I feel like that's gotta be really hard to like moderate. If you're allowing anyone to annotate anything using a browser extension, I feel like there could be an issue with that. There could just be people like drawing dicks and stuff like that, or just saying the N-word.
Debates. They labeled this News Genius. The extension was ultimately a failure. You couldn't see annotations unless you also had the extension. The entire reason Andreessen Horowitz invested in the first place was the potential to annotate other sites. And with the backlash for the extension potentially promoting ways to spread misinformation and cyberbully others, it was eventually discontinued. So now, with their
Called it.
ultimate goal wiped away, Genius pivoted in another direction: original content.
Alright, original content.
After a video of Designer explaining his lyrics went viral, they decided to turn the verified annotation feature on their site into a whole video series. This would end up becoming their flagship series. And to many watching this video, this may be all you know Genius for. They hired Rob Markman to be the head of artist relations.
I feel like that is probably what do you think is more popular of theirs? Those like YouTube videos or like the lyrics? The lyrics on their website.
Reaching
I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I feel like I remember the videos more so, but I do feel like I remember the lyrics before that, but I do think I remember the videos more.
out to artists and filming interviews, he kind of became the new face of the company. They started Genius News, not to be confused with News Genius or the other News Genius, and dived first into producing new video.
Yeah, I'd be flossing. Yeah, I remember that. I remember the video. Yeah. Those guys are megalomaniacs. I would say the lyrics, since I've used a lot more than I've ever watched the videos. What if I'm the monster?
Content for YouTube. They didn't even host the videos on their own site, and because of this, the community felt like Genius had turned their back on them. Many users begun leaving en masse. I mean, these are the same people you expect to transcribe and annotate your lyrics, funding your entire website, but you can't give them basic platform updates they request. At this point, Genius had already funded $79 million.
Dude, this is like one of the biggest issues with a lot of companies is they just don't care about what the community wants. And the fact, like, the community is what makes it popular. If the community leaves, it's not going to be popular anymore. You're not going to have a business.
And the forums still looked like this.
Like, look at SoundCloud.
They sunk every last dollar into video content and let their site rot in the process. This continued this way for years, with the forum numbers dwindling, many of the site's annotations becoming poor, and many songs not getting annotated at all. Genius had fully turned their back on their site and were no longer interested in anything but YouTube. In June 2019, Genius filed a lawsuit against Google and lyric provider LyricFind, seeking $50 million.
Please don't tell me it's for putting lyrics. Please don't tell me it's for putting lyrics.
In Google's never-ending endeavor to conquer every corner of the internet marketplace, not only did they begin to show lyrics on their search results, but allegedly had sourced them from Genius. Genius had begun embedding more.
I mean, if the lyrics are correct, that's just an objective thing. I don't know if you can, like, you can't plagiarize facts, right? Can you just plagiarize facts? Like, maybe, like, if somebody quotes something, you write down the quote, and then you get the same quote, not even from them. Like, is that plagiar? I don't know. Like, there's only one right answer, is what I'm saying.
Source code into the transcription of their lyrics that read red-handed. With this, they proved that 99% of all Google
Okay, there's more to it then. Wait, let's go back.
Allegedly had sourced them from Genius. Genius had begun embedding Morse code into the transcription of their lyrics that read red-handed. With this, they
Interesting.
proved that 99% of all Google's lyrics had come from Genius. And not only that, but once Google incorporates lyrics onto their search results, click-throughs to Genius drop 94%.
Well, that part doesn't really matter, but I feel like this part, this whole annotation with the putting red-handed and Morse code.
Percent of all Google's lyrics had come
Wait, hold on.
them from Genius. Genius had begun embedding Morse code into the transcription of their lyrics that read
But was Google doing transcriptions of the lyrics?
red-handed. With this, they
Never seen that.
proved that
Do they?
90% of all Google's lyrics had come from Genius. And not only that, but once Google incorporates
She got that head like a dyke.
lyrics onto their search results, click-throughs to
Lyrical genius right there.
Genius dropped 94%. The lawsuit would be dismissed after the judge found that Genius's lyric transcriptions were derivative works and that they did not hold the copyright to the lyrics, meaning that they could not claim.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you could use the whole like red-handed thing in court, but I feel like they did kind of catch them if that's true.
Google's display of them as a copyright violation. After being beaten in the court by Google, while simultaneously relying on them to keep their company afloat, Genius began to focus on live content hosted on Twitch. During the height of the pandemic, Genius started Genius Live, where viewers could send money to ask their favorite artists questions during a live Q&A and performance. The funding...
I don't remember Google ever having annotations of lyrics, so I don't know how they found out. Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that part. That part doesn't make any sense to me, because I've never seen that either, and I just looked it up and I didn't see annotations either there.
This project spurred a round of layoffs within the company. One of the employees told Fine Print New York, "We were all like, this is a bad idea. No major artist is going to sign up for this, and people aren't going to want to sit at home and pay $100 to ask Wiz Khalifa, what's your favorite cereal?" And he was right. Genius Live was a failure, much like Genius News, News Genius, and all of their other endeavors. In mid-2020, the great Mabu would return, with an article posted to Hacker News calling for the resignation of Tom Lehman and Alon Zachary, calling them two white guys who have no black friends, are mildly racist, and have zero passion for hip-hop. Mabu was looked at as a disgruntled employee, so
I feel like you could just say that about anybody. Like, what is the basis for that? They're two white guys with no black friends, so kick them out.
Mabu was looked at as a disgruntled employee, so his accusations didn't make any headlines. But in the same week, Alon's wife, Andre Gelman, had resigned from a company she co-founded after accusations of profiling and mistreatment to black and brown employees. A month after Mabu's article came out, Alon himself resigned as president of Genius to go back to celebrity hypnotherapy, and they replaced him with Mickey Tolliver King, the first black exec for Genius. Genius had already become a sinking ship, and in September 2021, with less than 500,000 of the 79 million they had once funded, Tom Lehman hosted an all-staff Zoom meeting where he announced that Genius had just been sold in a fire sale to holding company Media Lab for $80 million, and that since the total purchase price that will be distributable to the shareholders is significantly lower than the liquidation preference of preferred shareholders, holders of common stock and options will not receive any consideration. With Media Lab adding that some very talented individuals on the content and production teams were going to be let go. They fired an undisclosed amount of employees, made employee stock options worthless, but somehow the execs of the company walked away with huge paydays. Tom Lehman, $13 million. Alon Zachary, $8 million. Four other unnamed execs, multi-million-dollar parachutes. Rob Marksman, only $600,000.
Bro, imagine that you crash the company into the ground and then you make out like a bandit afterwards with a bunch of people being fired.
Mickey King doesn't work there anymore. Mabu,
oh my god, like just
Rob Marksman,
$0 on her face.
$600,000. Mickey King doesn't work there
anymore. $0.
Mabu is currently suing the company, and the community is dead. Verified is the only thing that's keeping Genius alive. If not for Verified, the company would have been bankrupt a long time ago, and Media Lab would have never picked them up. Every time you see that yellow background, it should remind you of just how bad Genius dropped the ball by trying to expand too fast, neglecting their core user base, neglecting the core foundation of providing lyrics, and turning their back on their community. A community that doesn't even exist.
And they had like everybody on there too.
Anymore.
Well, there's definitely a lot more to this story than I thought there was. I didn't know about pretty much any of this. I didn't know about the whole Elliot Rodger thing. I didn't know there was like this like cancellation campaign. I didn't know they were sold. I didn't know like basically any of this. I mean, I feel like a lot of people did not know. I mean, why would you know unless you were like tapped in on Genius? This was a Genius video, I might say. Pretty good video. Yeah, I would say this is pretty good. This was from Ty99. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna link it in the chat. Go sub to him. Okay, let's look at some comments here. Deconstructed was one of my favorite series on YouTube. Now I know why it disappeared. Yeah, listen to customer feedback for sure. This one guy apparently did not know about any of the video content. That's so bizarre. I feel like that's what it's known for generally. Yeah, the editing was great.
Rebranding Incorporated.